Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to another replay analysis. And in this pressing video that needed to be talked about right now, we have ourselves a Protoss versus Protoss setting the meta in Gold League. Yeah, woo, yeah, fuck yeah. We got a gold PvP, boys. It's gonna get spicy in here versus Mon Capitan. So let's see what's going on. Mon Capitan, how can we help you today? And anyone who doesn't know, replay analysis, what they are, is basically we are going to look at Mon Capitan's build and see if he's doing things correctly or incorrectly and help him try to figure out where he's going wrong, how to improve. You know. We're going to expand his mind in StarCraft, essentially. Sorry for wiping my nose just now. Okay, check this out. First things first, Mon Capitan. If you ever find yourself getting... Now, I don't know how often you deal with this, but if you ever get Void Ray proxied, okay? It is better... Like, I would say Void Ray proxy is the one that matters the most on. Other builds, not so much, but still even a little bit, because you give them the ability to abuse you, and I'll tell you why. This entrance into your base is the outside. This entrance into your base is the inside. If your opponent does something aggressive and you lock yourself out of the inside entrance to your base and you only use the outside, it means your units always have to walk around the outside and get exposed to bouncing between bases. Why is this a problem? It's a problem because it takes longer, first of all, to bounce between bases because you have to go around your shit. Secondly, if there's, let's say something is attacking you here and something is attacking you here, or like voids are just constantly bouncing around this way, if your stalkers can go in the back or if they have to go around the front, it changes your stalker's positioning to be exposed or not exposed. So voids could fuck you up essentially even easier because you'll be further out and exposed, which means they'll be closer to their batteries if they push you like that. Another reason why this is a problem is because if you're having to come around the side of the ramp to, like, you know, get in your to get to your natural, like, what if someone has like a force field, for instance, and they can like just, if a sentry's like, I mean, I guess they could throw it down there too, but it's just not good. Okay, force field is less. It's like because they could do it here or there or there. It wouldn't matter. But simply put, this makes your all-in defense weaker if you wall the inside off and you leave the outside open because your army has to be more exposed to go defend your natural now. So this is not good for you. You should always, always, always wall the outside and leave the inside open. Just throwing it out there, just so you know. So you say, ViBE, I had just been cannon rushed by an inside wall probe. I just want you to know something, Mon Capitan. If you build your gateways like this and this, or if you build your gateways like this and like this, you can get cannon rushed either way. It doesn't actually stop cannon rush. So, and here's the crazy thing. You actually give the guy who's cannon rushing you more room to work with cannons if you actually do the wall you're doing now. Because if you put a gateway right there now, he could put a pylon above it and then start cannoning this side right here. Like if he wanted to. But in reality, all he has to do, all the Protoss has to do that's going to cannon rush you is build the first pylon back here or like back here. Either way works for Protoss. There or there. And then he runs up the ramp and he builds a pylon either right there or right there. And he walls you into your base. He doesn't let this pylon finish. He just builds it for the beginning of whatever's going on while he builds a cannon either there or there. And then he cancels the pylon. So like I wouldn't even say, like, this is your gateway placement is irrelevant to cannon rushes. It does not matter. It's just, again, it makes your life harder to defend yourself because if your units, like, think about it like this, okay? I'm gonna get paint out for you. This is gonna be a fucking paint example here mixed into this replay analysis. If you're a defense, if the enemy can attack you from this area, okay? If this is the hot zone of where the enemy can attack you from, and your base is right here, all right? And like, you know, here's your ramp essentially. So your base is like that, more or less. Okay. So really the hot zone, I guess, would be larger than that. It would be more likely like something like this. It would be like, this is like the hot zone. Okay? If you build your wall in a way where you go like this and like that, your units have to go closer to the fucking hot zone of, you know, taking damage. You're more exposed from things that can attack you, and the biggest, most problematic one is fucking proxy void rays because they can fly over cliffs. So that sucks because you're more exposed. However, if you put your gateways like this, oops. If you put your gateways like this on the ramp, where it's like that, and like that, and now your units walk through this area. Jesus. Well, the area where your opponent has control of is further away from units transferring around now, and you have a much higher chance to not lose your shit. And if because the thing is like if a stalker dies, it's a lot squishier than a gateway. You get fucking destroyed. Like, you could lose the game because of that. But if a gateway takes the damage of what a stalker is worth, you don't lose anything. You just lose some shields on a gateway. A gateway has 1,000 health. A stalker has 250 hit points. So, or sorry, 160. Jesus, not 250. It has 160. So, a stalker is much squishier than a gateway. And so are other units. There is no unit that even comes remotely close to what a gateway has in terms of health. So let your units, let your buildings be more exposed, and let your units be more safe. Makes all-ins way easier to deal with. Okay, moving on. You should also be chrono boosting your Nexus right now, and you're not. So first chrono boost should be starting. Let me show you how this goes. You should have a probe already running to the... Your gateway's late now. If your pylon is done and you haven't even yet sent a probe to the pylon to build your gate, that is a late fucking gateway. Okay? So you should already have a probe on the way. Now, if I had to say how many seconds late the gateway is going to be, it's not going to be that late. You're sending a probe now. It's probably going to be only like 2 seconds late. But look. Also... It's okay. I don't want you to chrono yet, by the way. I'm just looking at your income, and I'm like, I feel 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so that's a little bit of a deal right there. You have also 3 on a patch. So you have the main thing. I'm just kind of surprised at how slow your money built up there for a second, honestly. I feel like it should have built up a little bit faster, but I feel like it's just because your gateway or your mineral saturation is not ideal. You have Amon Capitan. I don't know. I'll just explain it again because fuck it. I don't. There's probably some new people that have not heard me talk about this before. Just so you guys know, there are different efficiency levels in terms of mineral patch mining. Okay, so every probe on average, if you average it, it mines roughly about 1 mineral per second. Okay, roughly. If your probe mines on a close patch, you will mine always a little bit more at a more efficient rate than if your probe mines on a far patch. So when you're doing nothing in the game, it's nice to stack the close patches. Yo, Pig, thank you very much for the fucking raid, boy. Hope you had a wonderful stream, and congratulations on your marathon. I saw that shit yesterday. What a beast. Fucking beast man over there. If I ran for 4 minutes, I'd be like, cramp. I have a cramp. That's awesome, dude. Thank you for the raid. I hope you had a wonderful stream. And welcome, guys. I'm doing a replay analysis right now for a Protoss player. But what's up? What's up, boys? So yeah, it's just basically, long story short, if you start with 8 patches, 4 of them are close, 4 of them are far. You start with 12 workers as well. So what you can do every game, if you have nothing to do when the game starts, you literally just make a worker and you're just sitting there waiting, doing literally nothing. Grab your workers that end up being on far patches and try to rotate them to close patches. And it's a good habit to develop for yourself to increase your income just by a little bit, but it pays off over time even more and more and more at getting your initial tech down a little bit faster. Like the initial buildings you throw down will be, maybe you have an extra 10 minerals when you wouldn't have had it, because instead of having 3 fucking probes on a far patch, you have, and 1 probe on a close patch, you now have 2 probes each on 2 close patches, and your money goes up just a bit, and it goes up faster the faster you do this. It is worth it. It is worthwhile to do. It does change your income a little bit before you're fully saturated. So yeah, but yeah. Now, anyways, definitely should be throwing down a chrono boost as soon as you throw down that gate, and your pylon's done. Now you should be going for a chrono and going for your gas. No chrono, so that's a bit of a blunder. Also no gas, that's also a bit of a blunder. Your gas is not that late. It's like 2 seconds late. Not the end of the world. Ideally, I would say you should have the idea in the back of your mind that is, as soon as you start the next probe, that is not gonna fucking you know, like you're not gonna like lose time on the Nexus. Yo, Juan, I love you too, man. What's up, dude? As soon as you start a probe, that you know you have like 10 seconds to until your next probe is gonna spawn. Start that fucking gas immediately. You started the gas when you had like 115 minerals or 125 minerals. Set that shit right away at like 75. After you make the probe, when you only have 1 probe in production. So that's huge. Because again, things like this add up over time, and if you keep playing slow, all of your shit will be slow, and it's what causes problems for you. Just have the concept in mind of like what you're doing and trying to do it as quick as you can. Again, no chrono still is huge for you. There we go. Now you're sending your probe way too early to your natural. So if your plan is to go for a 1 gateway expand, do not send this probe to your natural. Send the next probe to your natural. You want to send a probe to your natural right when you hit 20 supply. Why is this important, you might ask? It's important because if you don't give yourself more time to mine your resources, which is what you need right now, you need at least another like 10 seconds or so of money, of income coming into your economy, or like 9 seconds. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get this probe down here at like 300 minerals, and you're going to be waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then you're finally going to build the Nexus. So you should be at 20 supply as you take your Nexus. And now your probe's kind of chilling as well. Okay. You're overreacting right now, well, Capitan. I don't know. Okay. So, I feel like what went through your mind right there when you scouted, you're reacting to what you see, and you went, okay, I'm going to expand. And then I think when you saw that probe cross, you made your probe come back up the ramp. Because you had not yet seen what he was doing. And I think in your mind, you went, cannon rush. Literally, that's what I think you did. I think because there's no reason. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's no reason to even be worried about that shit at this point in the game. Because it's fucking irrelevant. Now, let me explain to you what a cannon rush is in PvP. If a Protoss player is going to cannon rush you in PvP, they are going to send out their first probe that builds a pylon to your base. Because if your first probe that spawns builds a pylon, and then it walks across the map, and the second probe that spawns builds a forge, and then that also walks across the map, that first probe will get to your base around 45-ish seconds, okay? Like 45 to 50 seconds. So it'll be at your base, but like around like 50 seconds or a little bit less. Kind of changes based on the map, and it also kind of changes based on how fast he built a probe. Because if someone builds a probe at like 3 seconds in the game, it'll be a little bit later, you know what I mean? But if he's going to have a cannon rush, his probe literally will be at your base around 50 seconds in the game. And if that's happening, that is definitely time to sound the alarms and be like, shit, maybe wall my base off so he can't get in my base or something like that. And the reason why it makes sense to do this is because if the first probe builds a pylon, the second probe builds a forge, while the first probe then crosses the map after building the pylon, and it gets to the opponent's base by about 50 seconds, you throw a pylon down immediately. By the time the pylon is done, the proxy pylon, that will be about the same time that the forge finishes, and then you can start making cannons. So you seeing a probe crossing right here at 1 minute and 11 seconds. Okay? 1 minute and 11 seconds in the game, and he's at his base. He has barely even left his territory. This probe is not going to get to your base until about 1 minute and 35 seconds. Or like 140. He's not going to get across the map in the next 5 seconds. He's going to get across the map in about the next 25 to 30 seconds. So, with that being said, you have plenty of time to react to this. Now, secondly, why would a probe be leaving his base right now? Why would a probe be leaving his base right now? A probe would be leaving his base right now because he probably built literally a second gateway and decided to go scout. Or something like, or he just decided to send a probe out at like 20 supply, or like 19 supply rather. Sorry, if he's like actually keeping up with you, because again, what are you at? You're at 19 supply. This is a super late cannon rush. If this was a cannon rush, and why is that relevant? Like for people out there who are like, ViBE, you keep saying it's a super late cannon rush, so it doesn't matter. Why is that a thing? Can you please explain that to me? Because in StarCraft 2, there are things called timings, and if a player does a cannon rush that starts at 50 seconds in the game with the pylon that's being proxied, that is a scary timing. That means that your gateway will just barely be going underway. Your gateway will only be like 20 seconds or like 10 seconds of the way into the production. Like it'll be a lot scarier for you to deal with that shit. It'll be much more threatening because your defense is slower because it's the attack is so early. However, if someone does a timing that is super delayed, where this probe is not going to get across the map until about 135, if he starts a probe at 135 as opposed to 50 seconds, that's like 45 seconds late on a cannon rush. And just so you guys know, 45 seconds in terms of defense for you is enough time to just build a fucking gateway. Like the gateway would be done, and if at 135, your core would already be started. Like your core would already be underway, like probably like 20% of the way into completion. So if he starts a pylon then, by the time he starts cannons, you would have stalkers being chrono boosted out of your fucking gateway. Like it would be not threatening at all because you could have stalkers that could just delete it at that point. So that's why I'm saying it's not threatening with how late it is. So what would make sense then? This should not be a cannon rush. It should ideally not be a cannon rush. This is way too late to be a cannon rush. It's probably not a cannon rush. People do weird shit all the time, though. This could be, for instance, this guy could be going for a cannon rush-esque build, and this, instead of being like the second probe that comes after the forge, maybe this is like he built the forge, went back to mining minerals, and then like 10 seconds later he then went, you know what, fuck it, I'll send my other probe across the map too. And it could be weird then, but you wouldn't know that until you scout into his base, which would be fine. But another detail that has told you this is not a cannon rush is as you left your base right now, you did not pass by a probe. And I repeat, if this is a cannon rush, he will be getting to your base around 45 to 50 seconds. So you should have seen a probe coming right now as you leave your base. So you should have like crossed each other, because he will get here in this green box territory between 45 to 50 seconds. So that is huge information. And if he's not here at that time, it's not a cannon rush. Or it's a very delayed one, which is less threatening, which doesn't really matter then. Now, it's double gateway. Okay? It's double gate. And your response to double gate is you go core first. You don't need to do this. And here's why. Double gate is a premeditated build. One gate expand is a premeditated build. One gate expand can still be just fine against two gate opener, especially if we're talking about Gold League, which is what this is. The only time double gate is a problem is if it is paired with like proxy Stargate or proxy Robo, some type of tech proxy that is going to bust your base, and you don't realize it's happening until you're dead. So that could be obviously a problem. But so far, nothing has alerted you that he is doing a tech proxy. Like, because you haven't even seen anything yet. So what you should be doing for yourself is you should just be committing to the fact that you're going to go for one gate expand and do then a core. And all you have to do to counter what he's doing from that point on is build a pylon next to your nexus at the natural, build a shield battery, make a stalker, and have a probe sitting like right here. That way, if he makes 2 stalkers, if he makes 2 adepts, if he makes a sentry and a stalker, whatever the fuck he makes, if those units arrive at your base, your battery and your stalker will kill them easily. 1 battery and 1 stalker could beat anything out of the gateway that is 2 units, which is zealot, stalker, adept, sentry. Those 4 units will all die in combinations of 2 to 1 stalker and 1 battery. And the only thing that would be a threat then afterwards would be, what if he made 2 adepts? And what if he tries to have 2 adepts shade into your main base? Who fucking cares? Just make a battery on top of your ramp with the probe that's sitting here. And now adepts can't get into your base. Problem solved. And then every second that goes by that he does no damage now, or he's trying to do something weird and trying to get, if he's going to be aggressive, you're getting further and further and further ahead because you're mining from your natural as well with a battery at it. And you're just going to explode your production afterwards. So you reacting by going for a really quick core is a overreaction, which is, it serves no purpose. And people do this all the time. They overreact and they're like, fucking play defensive. Why? Like, he doesn't even, the thing is he doesn't even have a gateway done yet. Like it's not like it's as fast as yours. So it can't attack you yet. Now, here's some more information. You see a player who is chrono boosting their probes, but this is a super late chrono boost. I don't expect you to understand what this means. That's totally fine. I will explain it, though, in a very brief way. But the fact that he is showing you that he is now chrono boosting his Nexus, and you have only chrono boosted your Nexus once, and you guys have the same amount of energy on your Nexus. It's 67. You're both Protoss. You both have the same energy. It does not change. It's not like Protoss on the top of the map generates energy faster than the Protoss on the bottom of the map. It doesn't matter. You guys have the same energy always. You're the same race. So the fact that your chrono boost is done, and you even did yours late, by the way. His is still going, and you have the same energy, which means his is super fucking late. So if his chrono boost is super late, but he's still using it on the Nexus, it means that you're both playing economical, but he's less economical than you, hence the less supply in the game. He has less supply than you because he just didn't chrono boost his probes. That serves no fucking purpose. This would tell you his build already is inefficient. It's just inefficient. It's a 2-gate opener for sure, but it's an inefficient probe usage of building them out of the Nexus. So I would feel like for your sake, you're already a tiny bit ahead. And here's the thing too. Your probe didn't scout shit. You didn't scout the gas. Like, you know he has it because you saw probes coming and going, but you didn't know how many probes he had on it unless you really paid close attention to how fast the rate was going with those probes. If there was like a stall for one moment, you didn't scout how early he took it in terms of how much gas he has mined so far. You also didn't scout to see when he throws down the core, because, again, that's another sign that if he delays his core because he's like chasing your probe or some shit, it means he's less threatening. So my question to you would be, why even bother scouting this early? If like this scout was like, it was almost like a obligated scout out of just like obligatory scouting, but it was like, it literally gave you no information other than the fact that he opened for a gateway, and it is in fact not a cannon rush, which you already knew anyways because there was no probe going here, or there was no fucking setup in front of your base. What is the best place to one-click the scout probe? So, Mon Capitan, it's not about the best place to click. It's about the time that you do it. And I literally think if you would have just blindly went for one gate expand, you would be better off than doing your weird reaction and not expanding. Because you've already altered your build for the worse because you're overreacting. Twice. You made the probe freak out, and you've stopped mining resources for a long time because your probe went early to the Nexus And then he went like up and down the ramp because you were like, cannons, no cannons, cannons, double gate, core. Like, you wasted fucking time. You've just hurt your own build as a reaction to what you saw, which was standard Protoss, which is not threatening at all. So what I think you should do instead is just fucking do one gate, expand, core, and when you build the core, send your probe to his base. Then you go to his base. And you want to know how you know you're not getting cannon rushed? If you have not started being cannon rushed before 1 minute in the game, it's not a cannon rush. That's it. That's as simple as that. If the Protoss player is not building a pylon in your fucking face before 1 minute in the game, you're fine. There is no cannon rush. Most cannon rushers will start building a pylon in your face between 45 seconds to 50 seconds. 1 minute is the late extreme end of like a super late cannon rush. So don't be paranoid. Like, it's already missing the window to be effective anyways. Like, it's irrelevant. And then if you scouted him with a core, it takes a probe about 45 seconds, okay? It takes a probe roughly 45 seconds to cross the map. Or like 40 seconds, not 45, more like 40. About 40 seconds ish. 30. Every map is kind of different. It's more like 36 to 40, okay? I'm kind of like I'm thinking about my numbers here, and it doesn't add up with the 12 seconds it takes to make a probe, and then the fact that he can make a pylon in your base at 50 seconds. It's more like 35 to like 40 seconds, depending on map. This map's probably more like 36, 37 seconds, some shit like that, to cross the map. The point I'm trying to make here is, I'm not trying to confuse you with numbers, okay? I know gold players are probably just like, fucking numbers, what is happening? I don't understand. Holy shit. This is all I'm trying to make you understand. If you scout after you build the core, you go Nexus, then core, okay? Your Nexus could be going down already. So, we're looking for 550 minerals. I know I'm throwing numbers at you again, but just listen to me. A core costs 150. A Nexus costs 400. Together, that's 550. So you've already spent 150 and you're at 300. So you're looking for 100 more minerals. So if we assumed your scout would start when you have 100 more minerals here, which is basically right now, because you, instead of building a Nexus, you've decided to make a probe and a pylon. It's right now, exactly. This is 150 minerals, and now these two costs here, you could have built a Nexus right now and also a core. So what the point I'm trying to make here is, this is the point I'm trying to make. If you started the Nexus first, and then you started the core second, your core would be started right now. 135. Your core would have just started right now. And if you scouted across the map right now, this is a perfect scout. Like, let's just use this as the time of scouting now, okay? So 135 is how fast your probe can cross the map. Let's see how fast this probe crosses the map as you go back home. So your probe is now in the main base. It started like right here though. So we'll give it a few more seconds, okay? To like, you know, we'll give it an extra like 5 seconds to where if it was right here, it could now be here. Let's go to 210. Fuck it. So now this is guaranteed, okay? This is guaranteed that if you would have built the core at 135, you would be in his base already by 210. And what would you see? Nothing built yet. That's the point I'm trying to make here. If you scout later, as you start the core, again, you're both Protoss. What can he do to you before he has a cyber core? The only thing it could be is a cannon rush. And if he's not cannon rushing you before a minute in the game, you're not getting cannon rushed. It's irrelevant. So if you don't get cannon rushed within the first minute of the game, and you scout after you make the core, it makes you mine resources faster because you're not wasting a probe running around the map a lot. And you still get a scout off before he has units. Because you started crossing the map as you made the core. And as you made the core, That's about the same amount of time it takes for the probe to cross the map, which is why his core is almost done right now. Because you guys are both the same race. You're doing the same fucking thing. You both open gateway into a core. Your unit has just started. He could be gateway proxying you, though. People don't understand time at all, man. Guys, it's fucking 2 minutes into the game right now. How many zealots do you think could exist right now? Let's just pretend this is gasless gateway proxy. How many zealots do you believe could exist at this moment in the game right now? Do you think there could be 8 zealots on the map? 7 zealots on the map? No, it'd be fucking 0. There would be 0. Because here's the thing. Check it out. It takes if your first probe runs across the map, it takes like 40 fucking seconds to cross the map. Right? Roughly. We'll just use 40 because it's an easy number. 40 seconds to cross the map. And where are you going to gateway proxy? Like right there? 40 seconds to get over here. Then you build a pylon. A pylon is 18 seconds. So that's already at 58 seconds. Just to build a pylon. Then you got to make fucking gateways. Let's say you make 3 gates. That's now, let's just say hypothetically, this is impossible by the way, but let's hypothetically say you made 3 gateways at the exact same second. They all went down. Probe just did the 3 gateway maneuver, which is again impossible, but let's just pretend that happened, okay? So that's now 46 seconds of build time on a gateway on top of the 58 that exists already, so that now puts you at 1 minute and 44 seconds just to have gateways done. And then you have to build a fucking zealot, which is a 27-second build time. So 144 plus 27 is 2 minutes and 11 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
That's right now. A fucking zealot could spawn right now. And you know what you could do to defend that? You can fucking put a pylon against your wall here and make a shield battery behind it and chrono boost out stalkers and make like another gateway and just cancel your fucking nexus at the natural. Because you're like, oh yeah, he's proxy all-inning me. Or just let your natural finish. Who gives a shit? Just let it finish. And if he actually kills the nexus, that buys you like 30 seconds to build stalkers on the high ground. This proxy zealots are not threatening at all. Because you're still scouting before anything could be relevantly happening to you. And I know Mon Capitan didn't ask that last question. It was someone else in chat, but people always over-assume shit. They're like, my opponent could be doing anything. And if you just understand what numbers mean in this game, in the early game, nothing fucking... Like, there's windows of opportunity for things to happen, and when those don't happen, it's irrelevant. Like, for instance, the window of opportunity for a cannon rush is below 1 minute. And if you start getting cannon rushed at 1 minute and 42 seconds, that is a garbage cannon rush. Which is what would have happened when the probe crossed your base if he would have went to your base. Because he crossed your probe at like 1 minute and 12 seconds. You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make, it doesn't matter. But also the music's kind of loud. I don't know. I feel like the music's really loud. Okay, I turned it down a little bit. Sorry. I feel like I have to yell over the music. Okay, so now, and again, this is that moment where like you've scouted nothing as a follow-up. So, okay. Mon Capitan, I got a couple things to say to you. Number 1, if your build was just standard and would just like float as normal, like gateway, pylon, gateway, nexus, core, and then you add on another fucking, like just do the B2GM build. For the love of God, let me just say, I got to say this right now, okay? Please, I have to say this because this is that point that always makes me just like, people constantly don't do B2GM build. They don't do the B2GM build. They always freak out and they don't do it. And I'm telling you right now, anyone who is in Gold League or anyone who is in Platinum League or Silver League or Bronze League, if you guys just do the B2GM build, like you don't deviate from it because you freak out. If you just do it, you'll win almost every game. Because right now, this looks like it's going to be the B2GM build. You're going Stalker with a Sentry into a Robo, right? It looks very B2GM-y. If I had to guess, I would say this is B2GM, but again, it's fucked up. Like, where is the second gateway? And the Nexus is super late. Also, the Sentry should be made second, not third. You made it third because you made us 2 Stalkers first. Now, with this being the case, all that's happening is you're increasing the chances that you're going to die because you're disregarding everything. And the only thing you got to do, the only thing that you have to do in B2GM build, again, if someone doesn't know what I'm saying bronze to GM build. So B the number 2 GM or whatever, B the word TO GM, bronze to GM. I made a guide for this, like a whole series for Protoss. If you scout your opponent is doing something that you don't fully comprehend and understand, and you're like, I feel threatened. If you feel threatened, the only thing you have to do is make an earlier battery. Just make a battery. Just 1 battery, not 4 batteries, not 3 batteries, not 2 batteries. Just 1 battery. That's it. That's all you got to do. Make the battery like right there. And everything else is standard. You just make Stalker with a Sentry, and then back to Stalkers, and then make Immortals while you chrono boost out your probes, all that shit. Easy peasy. You went Pylon Gate Core Nexus and B2GM and then Plat, you switched it up. Did I? Okay, well if I did, okay, sorry. I don't remember doing that, honestly. It really should be, maybe I made like a super noob friendly build and I thought it was a good idea at the time, but it definitely should be Pylon, Gateway, Nexus, then Core, if you're going to go for 1 gate. It serves no purpose to go Core before Nexus if you go 1 gate. The only time you should ever make a Core before a Nexus is if you're going multiple gateways. Or if you're taking gas super early to tech rush. But again, those are not good concepts to understand for a player who is not already Diamond League, because this is the concept that makes sense. Okay, if you do okay, let me say it like this. I'm gonna start over. I'm gonna make it be super basic so everyone understands, because I was about to explain something that was gonna be convoluted. If you go for tech before economy, that is a Core before a Nexus. This represents tech. Okay. If you go tech before economy, it puts you in a position where you have to do damage to justify the negative effect you put on your build. So if a build can grow at a steady pace, you have now pulled yours back a bit because you went tech before economy. You put an extra cost into your build. If you do nothing aggressive to justify that, it makes no sense. It actually puts you at a negative. So if you're going to play defensive and just sit there defensively, just go economy before tech. Don't overreact thinking you're getting all in. Because, again, remember those time windows? You can still defend it just fine if you go Nexus before Core. Economy first. The only all-in that matters, that could fuck you over, is if you are getting cannon rushed before you even make the Nexus. At 50 seconds. Just so you, again, here's some numbers that make sense for time. The Nexus, going down at 20 supply, does not even go down until roughly 1 minute and 25 seconds to 1 minute and 30 seconds. You should, by all means, have already been having cannons built in your base before that, if it's a cannon rush. Because the pylon should go down for a cannon rush at 50 seconds. Roughly. Like, give or take a couple seconds. 58, 52, 48, something around there. Like, that's when the cannon rush should start. Way before you even make the Nexus, if it's a cannon rush. And that's the only thing that can fuck you over. And now you actually just scouted with a Hallucinating Phoenix, a proxy robo, and a 3rd gateway. And you have no units at all because you never made a 2nd gateway. It's 4 minutes and 23 seconds, and you still don't have a 2nd gateway. That's a super late second. Like, your 2nd gateway should have been started as you made the sentry second. So the build goes like this: pylon, gate, gas, nexus, core, gas, pylon, stalker, sentry. As you make the sentry, robo gateway. You make robo and second gate as you make your second unit out of the gateway, which is a sentry. You did not make the gateway this game until you made your 5th fucking unit. Which is super late. And you have no immortal either. When did your robo go down? Let's see. Your robo went down as you made your 3rd unit. So robo was almost on time. Robo almost on time, but kind of late. Gateway definitely super late. Now, what do you do with the robo? Do you actually... Like, your robo, I would say your robo's delayed by probably like 15 seconds. Or like 12 seconds. Because you did chrono boost that gateway. And then you make an observer first. Do not ever make an observer first. Ever. Always make an immortal first. At least... okay. The only time it ever would make sense to make an immortal first... the only time it ever makes sense to make an or to make an observer first, sorry. Let me start over because again I don't want to I do not want it to be confusing here. The only time it ever makes sense to make a observer first is if you think your opponent is going for a cloak rush, which you have already confirmed is happening. And just so you know, 4 minutes is ridiculously early. And you can't even have DTs or Banshees or Lurkers at this point in the game. It is impossible. Like, the only way it might work would be if your opponent legit did not even build a worker at the start of the game, and instead they just fucking built gas with their first resources they got at 12 supply, and then they literally went to 6 workers on the mineral line with 6 workers on gas. And then really quickly teched into fucking whatever, like a Banshee or a DT. That's the only way they could possibly get a DT out before 4 minutes. Like a fucking super fast tech rush, essentially. And you would have seen that with your probe scout. You'd be like, wow, this guy's already got a council that's almost done by the time my probe got here. The fuck? What a crazy build. And he's got like no probes. So, Immortal first, Observer second is totally fine, and then go back into making Immortals. But make an Immortal first, and the reason why you want to make an Immortal first is so that you can actually not get fucked if your opponent is, you know, being aggressive. And also, you need a battery at your natural. You never... this is something I said earlier, but I want to make sure I want to touch on this again. If you go 1 gate expand, a battery at your natural is mandatory. No matter what. It doesn't matter what you see. So, a battery is going to be mandatory no matter what. It's just you can rush it if you think you're going to need to be defensive, or you can take it eventually if you think it's okay. If you feel like you're like, he's not that aggressive, take your battery when you have 100 extra minerals. If you think he's going to be super aggressive and you're like, okay, this guy's opening up with multiple gateways, no expansion, some aggression's coming. Rush that fucking battery like as you make your first stalker, because if he does rush you with units and you only have 1 stalker sitting there at your natural and he's got 2 stalkers shooting your 1 stalker, you're already going to lose the game. Like if I was playing against you in this game and I opened up 2 gateways, you opened up 1 gate and you made 1 stalker and that was it, I would win the game with my first 2 stalkers, because I would kill your first stalker 2v1, and then your second stalker would spawn, and I would kill your second stalker 2v1, and by then I would also have 4 stalkers and eventually 6 stalkers, and it would just spiral out of control, and I'd be killing your probes, and the game would just end, because if you didn't die right there, you would fall so far behind that you would die in the next like 2 minutes. So 1 gate expands require Epic Shield battery. It's mandatory. And now finally, he's at your base. And another thing to note, your army positionally, your army is in the worst position ever. Like, your army being in your main base serves 0 purpose if you have a natural. Your more exposed base is just fucking naked and ready to die. And now that you have allowed him to have positioning in your natural, you have totally foregone the ability to defend yourself properly, because now all he has to do is walk towards the ramp and your units will single file engage the fight and just die and die and die and die. You have no concave ability anymore. It's gone, essentially. And yeah, I mean, this guy invested zero money into an expansion and probes, and he invested everything into making stalkers and immortals. And you invested probably like 1,200 minerals into an expansion. So you need to buy some time for yourself to pay that off, and then from that point on, after you pay it off, what it costs, everything else is just gain and bonus. That you overproduce what your opponent has from that point on. One of the best ways to do that is to use this ability right here, fucking battery overcharge. That would make your army worth so much more power right away when you have less supply. And it buys you time to bypass his supply and then overtake him. And then once you do that with better economy, you never lose the game from that point on ever. Because he's one base owning versus a two base guy who has a bigger army and he produces an army at a faster pace. So he'll never catch you from that point on ever. Yeah, all you needed is literally a battery. You need to make your units fucking appropriately, like faster. Your shit was so delayed, and you also made your build was like hiccuped defensively. You put like a speed bump in your build because you got paranoid, and you slowed your build down for no reason, because you thought it was going to be a cannon rush. It seemed like, but it definitely, we explained that already. It definitely wasn't. But yeah. Just hypothetically, okay? We're going to extend this a little bit, just for fun. Just for fun. So literally nothing happened to you until he attacked you. I don't even think he scouted you. That's another sign, by the way. This is his vision. He didn't even go to your base. Remember that probe that left right here that you saw? And you were like, oh, God, cannon rush, cannon rush, cannon rush, cannon rush. Shit, cannon rush. That probe never even came to your base. So why the fuck is a Protoss player going to send a probe out on the map and then not go to your base? That's a big sign right there that goes, oh, this motherfucker is proxying. And if you feel like you go, okay, well, you just passed my probe by 110, and it takes roughly 40 seconds to get across the map. If I don't see your probe in my base, and it's also, this is already, by the way, this is like 10 seconds into that. This is not, like 40 seconds, by the way, is like here. Okay? It's like coming out of the Nexus. Here is like 10 seconds already away from the Nexus. So now, it's like 30 seconds from here to get to your natural. Okay? So if you passed him around 110, you should have seen a probe entering your base around 140 if he was actually going to go into your base with that probe. As soon as you got to 140, which is before your core is done, by the way, and you go, oh, the probe never came to my base. That should have been an even bigger sign that tells you, how about we chrono boost out some fucking, like, an immortal? Or how about we make a shield battery super early? Because this motherfucker is maybe going to be super aggressive right now. Like, this is scary. And even here's the crazy thing, even if you don't chrono boost out your units, and maybe you just chrono boost out your first stalker and that's it, you'd still be fine. Because watch this, okay? Again, your opponent scouted you 0, and he shows up at your base at 4:23. 4 minutes and 23 seconds. I'm going to give you an example and before we end this. And you had, at 4:23, you had 4 stalkers and 1 sentry and nothing else. You had 1 observer. You had no immortal when this happened. Okay? Now, I just want to show you, minerals aside, I'm going to show you how many fucking units I have with Protoss at 4 minutes and 23 seconds. 4:23. How many units are we going to have? And we're still going to scout as well. 4:23. Let's fucking do this. So, again, you had 4 stalker, 1 sentry, no battery. 4:23. Remember that number. And this just comes... I'm going to do B2GM build, by the way. This is B2GM buildola. Okay, so we make a pylon. We can stack our close patches right now. Because why not? There's no reason not to. So all my close patches are now stacked. I just stacked every single juicy patch. So I'm getting maximum income. Send a probe to my wall over here. Let's make our thingy. Yo, Artosis, thank you very much for the raid, boy. Hope you had a wonderful stream, dude. Much appreciated. Much love. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. I'm currently doing a replay analysis for a person who is needing some help at the moment. But thank you so much for the fucking raid. Much appreciated, man. Welcome, everybody. Hello, guys. So now we're going to, you know, we're making our probe. I actually have 300 minerals because I stopped making a probe for a second, so my money's all thrown off. But whatever. The point is, I left my main around 300 minerals. I had enough money to take my third base, or my natural, and now here we go. We're good to go. I made do with the little fuck up I had right there. Now we're going to make our core. And now let's go scout. We scouted after the core. Remember that? And now we're going to take another gas. Then we're going to take a pylon. Artosis is the king of nerds. Artosis is pretty badass. It's very true. Okay. And second pylon is almost done. We're going to chrono boost the Nexus and the gateway at the same time. So, Stalker, Warp Gate, Nexus, Chrono. Cool. Probe is in his base. Let's get the fuck out of here. Oh, it's double gate, just like you fought against. Oh, let's get the fuck out of here. Seems like it might be aggressive. So, we're going to make a pylon at our third base, or at our natural. This is our third pylon. Still making probes. We're going to make a sentry. And we're going to, right now, make a second gateway and a robo the second we can afford it, which is going to be super soon. And this is just standard, like, defensive, like, easy peasy bullshit. Where you're literally, your game plan is to sit there and just get ahead by letting your opponent run into you and die. Because, again, this is lower level. You don't gotta be crazy with it. So now we just made our second gate and our robo. Now we can make a stalker again. And now let's rush a battery, because we're going to squeeze that in super early because we're afraid of getting fucked here. We can chrono boost our probes. What's up, Ray Rain? How you doing, man? Ooh. Good. Let's go ahead and make an immortal as a priority here. Our warp gate's just about done in the next 10 seconds, which is, we're just going to wait for the warp gate to finish now to warp in 2 units because it's not worth making unit now at this point. It'll take too long. So now we're going to make double warp in stalker. And at 358, we already had what you had at 423. And now we're going to have Stalkers 6, 5, and 6 as he gets to our base. And we also we already have an Immortal out as it is, and a battery. So look at the gates. Look at the time. 423 is when you got attacked. I will make 2 Stalkers right as it starts. 421, 422, 423, they're out. So we had 2 more Stalkers, a Immortal, and a fucking battery that we could add in the fight, and you can overcharge it. It's just doing the standard efficiency of what the build is. And you died right there because you were also up here in your main base. Just stick to B2GM as much as you can, and you'll have so much more success than if you constantly freak out and deviate and freak out and deviate and freak out and deviate. And it'll just help you so much more. You just gotta believe in it. You gotta believe. You have faith in the B2GM. Have faith. Okay? It won't let you down, especially in Gold League. But Mon Capitan, I hope that helps. Thank you very much for doing analysis. I Love you, man. I appreciate you. You know, thank you for putting yourself on the spot so I could rip into you and tear you apart in front of everybody. But much love, dude. I hope it helps. And anyone else who watched that, I hope you guys also enjoyed it. I hope it helps you in your own games. But thank you guys for watching. And if you guys liked it, go check out more videos. I have tons other videos to help you learn how to play StarCraft better on the channel, on YouTube essentially. But I'll see you guys in the next one. So until then, take it easy. Much love and peace, guys. See ya.